You know, quite often they're the most talented, mature, experienced people showing up at job interviews. So why is it hard sometimes for veterans to find employment in the civilian world? Here's Suzanne Bartole.
Good afternoon. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you, Lawrence?
I'm doing well also, thank you.
Have a seat.
I brought my resume for you.
Perfect.
It looks like a job interview, and it kind of is. It's a mock interview.
I'd say my greatest strength is diversity and the ability to maintain composure no matter what's going on around me.
Lawrence Remedios is a 26-year-old corporal in the United States Marine Corps. He'll be getting out in February and entering the civilian workforce.
Mostly I'm nervous about the interviews and how the process has changed. The last resume I've made has been over 5 years ago.
You want to make sure that you have descriptions of what it is that you did, or what's called accomplishment statements.
Lawrence is here for CTAP, Career Transition Assistance Program. They have workshops that cover networking, resume writing, interviewing.
The military does a great job of changing how they think, how they speak, how they act, how they dress. These folks are basically transformed.
It comes down to this. They need to learn how to communicate in the civilian job world.
They are taught that when you speak to someone, you speak directly and honestly and with what's called with command. And that voice tone and language can be a little bit intimidating and off-putting for civilians. Sometimes we have to teach them that they need to tone it down a little bit. They need to soften and start asking questions as opposed to making statements.
Lawrence is about halfway through the program and already seeing the benefits.
I've gotten a lot of help on my resume already. The biggest thing was demilitarizing it. It's funny, I really didn't think that I was that absorbed into the military life till I wrote a resume and a civilian read it and didn't know what I was talking about.
I could say you have several accomplishments with numbers. Well, Lawrence is actually kind of typical of our veterans that are coming in or are transitioning military, and that they have phenomenal skills. However, when they write their resumes or the first time they put them together, they put it in totally military speak. So what I like here is where it's quantified. What we have to do is basically sit down with them and ask them, so what does this mean? What does this mean? What does this mean? And then we translate it for them, and then they can put it in language that a civilian HR or recruiter or hiring manager can understand.
Where it says approving all movements in support unit operations, what exactly does that mean?
Back to the mock interview. Gilbert Manzano is an HR expert with ACI specialty benefits and volunteers at CTAP.
When I started reading some of their resumes, I thought, what does this mean? I had questions, so I had to ask what certain experience that they had listed meant. When I saw something that was in military terms, when they translated it for me, I then thought, oh, okay, well, I know a better way you can say this so that it would make sense to me as a civilian employer.
It's really important that you put those key words right into your resume. So some of these young people that are getting out are in their mid-20s, early 30s, and they have been managers over 100, 200, 300 people. That's a leadership role. They've been managing millions of dollars worth of inventory. They have tremendous skills and experiences that a civilian would actually never have.
I would tell every Marine they need to do this because the transition is so much easier before you start. You look at it and you're like, oh, it's going to be easy, I'm going to get out. And then as you start, you realize that there's a lot more involved. And the program has really just made me a little bit more comfortable, teaching me about what's ahead and preparing me, giving me some confidence in what's next.
He has a goal, he knows what he wants, he's asking all the right questions, and so I think Lawrence is going to do great. You're doing a good job, keep it up.
Thank you.
Now, CTAP was started by one veteran who says we spend a lot of money training people to serve in the military, but relatively little to train them once they're out and to get back into civilian life.
They tell you when to eat, what to wear, where to go, how long you're going to stay, everything. And you go through that for a good number of years and doing all that training and money that the military puts into you to train you. Then the bus pulls up at the corner and stop and you get off. And it's a different world and nobody retrains you to go from that mindset you were in the military back to civilian life.
Now, Chuck Atkinson founded the Veterans Association of North County back in 2007 to give veterans in all branches of the military a one-stop place to find services in a very tough economy.